Welcome back, Swifties. Today I'm checking out some more Long Pond sessions. And as one commenter pointed out, it is August. So let's check out August.
It's a weird experience to work with you. And now Aaron can understand it. No, I'm serious, because it's like, here's the song. Oh, wait, here's the bridge. Wait, here's a better bridge. Okay, now the perfect bridge. And then here's a thing after the bridge. This thing's going to come in.
Oh, yeah, remember when I pulled up
Yeah, so like,
get in the
just
car? I
series
wrote
of-
that in the vocal booth.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's series
Yeah,
of...
get some plans just in case you call.
and so like, but hearing the patchwork of like that whole thing coming together, I was just like, I just love what you did on that song. It takes
Thanks.
me away.
I love what you did on that song. And I've been kind of in my head like calling the girl from August either Augusta or
nice.
Augustine. I've just been like naming her that in my head.
Oh, that changes things for me, because she's written nameless to me, but now it's forever changed.
What happened in my head was, okay, so like Cardigan is Betty's perspective from like 20 to 30 years later, looking.
This is interesting now. I'm getting some... Oh, where do I start? She's mentioning a few different characters here, isn't she? Betty. I've seen... There's a Long Pond version of a song called Betty, right? And Cardigan is also a song, of course, but that's a Long Pond one as well. But I've also seen a thumbnail for Betty being performed at some music awards, and the thumbnail just looks great, so I kind of want to react to that one. Maybe I'll do the Long Pond one first. Which is better? Which is the best version of Betty to check out? Let me know. And as for talking about coming up with stuff in the vocal booth, it's usually the stuff that just comes on its own. That's usually the best stuff, isn't it? If you're a writer, you'll probably know that. That you're almost you got to catch it before it slips you by. And another songwriter gets it, But just that little melody as well that she sung, I liked the bounce of it, So, is this going to be a more upbeat track?
Head was, okay, so like Cardigan is Betty's perspective from like 20 to 30 years later, looking back on this love that was this tumultuous thing. In my head, I think Betty and James ended up together, right?
Interesting.
So in my head, she ends up with him, but he really put her through it. But like,
Okay, so what songs is James in? Is James in Cardigan or something?
August was obviously about the girl that James had this summer with, right? So she seems like she's a bad girl, but really she's not a bad girl. She's like really a sensitive person who like really fell for him.
It's interesting, isn't it? I like the idea of, does everybody feel like the main character in their own movie? Because I think you should. It's probably a helpful way to frame and live through life, isn't it? But you're probably also the villain in somebody else's story, right? And do you think we're past that black and white, that binary thing of good guy, bad guy? It's always more complex than that, isn't it, I suppose? And I think Tom Hardy said once that he finds it difficult to get angry at somebody because he understands so much about psychology that it's difficult for him to, get angry with anyone or blame anyone. So, and as we get into with films, with origin stories and stuff, the Joaquin Phoenix Joker springs to mind. There's usually reasons, I suppose, isn't there? There are probably exceptions where you're just a sociopath or a psychopath. But I think some of you mentioned in the comments that that she does weave characters and themes through different songs and stuff, and they turn up in different places. So that's pretty cool as well, isn't it? To check in on these characters and see how they're doing, and creating a whole world, like a universe. That's cool.
not a bad girl. She's like really a sensitive person who like really fell for him, and she was trying to seem cool and seem like she didn't care because that's what girls have to do. And she was trying to let him think that she didn't care, but she really did, and she thought they had something very real. And then he goes back to Betty.
So this can also, I guess, some of the themes she's speaking about there could apply to All Too Well, which I wasn't going to mention my reactions to that. But the one thing I will say is I didn't realise the age difference until, I suppose quite late in that video. And of course that, the song's not meant for, I'm not the audience for it, am I, But I thought they were probably about the same age. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's made me think a lot about why do I have that reaction, to couples arguing, So it made me think about, I guess my own childhood and friends and different relationships I've observed, that where people are just rowing all the time, arguing. Rowing's just an English term, right? I suppose, but and I guess in a lot of those situations, perhaps my empathy, or I was younger, I guess my empathy or my patience, perhaps, was wearing thin, and it's just like, oh man, just you're not good together, man. Just split up. But of course, the larger age difference. Perhaps, I mean, if it's like 30 and 40. It's not a big deal, is it? I suppose the age difference, but when you're in your formative years, I suppose it is, yeah.
Something very real. And then he goes back to Betty. So the idea that there's some bad villain girl in any type of situation who like takes your man is actually a total myth, because that's not usually the case at all. Like everybody has feelings and wants to be seen and loved, and just like Augustine, that's all she wanted.
That's what I love about August is like it's not a dream, even though it sort of sounds like it. Like it's like it feels the situation feels.
Everybody wants to be seen and loved, isn't it? And understood. It's true.
It's not a dream, even though it sort of sounds like it. Like it's like it feels the situation feels very close to me, like getting swept up like that.
That whole song started with the fact that I had written down in my phone, "Meet me behind the mall," years ago, wanting to write it into a song.
Salt air and the rust on your door. I never needed anything more. Whispers, are you sure? Never have I ever before. But I can see it's lost in the memory. August slipped away into a moment in time, 'cause it was never mine. And I can see it's twisted in bed sheets. August slipped away like a bottle of wine, 'cause you were never mine.
Yeah, I like this one. What I like to begin with is the mix of acoustic guitar and electric guitar. The Big Push do this really well. And it is an underutilized way of making music, I think, because it just... And myself, I never really played that much acoustic. I suppose for not usually being in the environment to play it in your room without being, annoying the neighbours and that. But lately I have been getting the acoustic out and playing it more, digressing anyway. It's an interesting choice, isn't it? As far as, writing songs is a choice, I suppose. It usually just comes through you, as I was saying earlier. But it's like an upbeat, bouncy melody, and really paints a picture of nostalgia, and nice memories, and not being sad so far. Not being sad that, something was over, and some things are fleeting, aren't they, and that's okay. I'm going to start this again.
Salt air and the rust on your door. I you sure? Never have I ever before. But I can see it's lost in the memory. All gets slipped away into a moment in time. 'Cause it was never mine. And I can see it's twisted in bed sheets. All gets slipped away like a bottle of wine. 'Cause you were never mine.
August slipped away like a bottle of wine because you were never mine. It's a good imagery, isn't it? I suppose. There's a great line in "Once" by Liam Gallagher. And oh, I remember how you used to shine back then. You went down so easy, like a glass of wine, my friend. But Taylor's on the bottles, eh? Well.
You're back beneath the sun, wishing I could write my name on it. Will you call when you're back at school? I remember thinking I had you, but I can see it's lost in the memory.
I'm going to take this back a little bit as well. I love the... This just all sort of flows together really nicely, doesn't it? But the electric guitar as well, changing on that second verse, just adding a little bit more dynamic and dropping out slightly and bringing more space to it, allowing the vocal to penetrate, more into your soul, I suppose.
Never mind, you're back beneath the sun, wishing I could write my name on it. Will you call when you're back at school? I remember thinking I had you, but I can see it's lost in the memory. All gets slipped away to a moment in time. 'Cause it was never mine.
This is a great chorus as well, isn't it? It's a great melody. I like when a voice is in that husky sort of register. But again, it's it's so simple, but it's good and bad simple, isn't it? This is definitely good simple. It's just an earworm, isn't it? And again, one of those sort of timeless melodies, And I'm sure if we dug, deep enough, there's probably other melodies and other songs that sound very similar, because everything's borrowed, isn't it? There's only 12 notes. You can only put them in so many orders, but it's beautiful, man, beautiful, and the sentiment paints a great picture, and the drums on this as well. They sound perfect for the song. And I know it's probably it's like a drum machine or a loop or something going on with it, but it's easy to overlook these things, man. But it's all going together very, very nicely so far. I'm enjoying it.
Had you, but I can see it's lost in the memory. All gets slipped away to a moment in time. 'Cause it was never mine. And I can see it's twisted in bed sheets. All get sipped away like a bottle of wine. 'Cause you were never mine. Back when we were still changing for the better, one thing was enough. For me it was enough. To live for the hope of it all. Cancel plans just in case you call and say meet me behind the mall. So much for summer love and saying us, 'cause you weren't mine to lose. You were mine to lose. Oh. 'Cause I can see it's lost in the memory. All gets slipped away.
So that was that was one of the bridges she's famous for. Bringing it up, like I've mentioned before, my favourite bridge / middle eight, depending which country you're from, is something by the Beatles. You're asking me, will my love grow? I don't know. but that's great. And then from a production standpoint, this is beautiful as well. How everyone drops out. And mic technique is awesome as well. Of course, she's a pro. Of course, it's gonna be, but it's not an easy thing to master.
Cause I can see it's lost in the memory. August slipped away into a moment in time. Cause it was never mine. And I can see it's twisted in bed sheets. August slipped away like a bottle of wine. You were never mine. You were never mine. Never mine. Do you remember? Remember when I pulled up and said get in the car and then cancel my plans just in case you call? Back when I was living for the hope of it all, for the hope of it all. Meet me behind the mall.
Nice.
And then I canceled my plans just in case you call. Back when I was living for the hope of it all, hope of it all. Remember when I pulled up and said get in the car and then canceled my plans just in case you call? Back when I was living for the hope of it all, for the hope of it all. Meet me behind the mall.
The change in the timing of the beat of the melody was very nice there. It's reminiscent to me of the kind of things that, Arctic Monkeys do or did on some of the songs on AM, maybe. Which I suppose is hip-hop influence. It's the same, isn't it? As I imagine that's where the influence would come from. Consciously or unconsciously. I think maybe I do it in a couple of songs. So I've even probably borrowed it from Arctic Monkeys, perhaps. Because I'm not a big hip-hop fan, so I must have got it second-hand. Nice, simple, tasteful solo, They're all doing really well at serving the song here, man. Be interested to hear the studio version and what the difference is, because just all these sessions are all pretty great, aren't they? Cool, man. Cool. Yeah. You could hear the click coming in at the end as well. That's quite nice. There's "Dance Away" by Roxy Music. I think they've got that click, and it's just all the way through the song. They use it as an instrument, which I always thought was interesting. But yeah, tasteful. You can tell in that one, they're really enjoying themselves as well, aren't they? It's very, very nice to see. I'm trying to think which songs I've checked out so far. I love a sad song, and they've all been quite melancholic so far. Melancholic, less upbeat, I suppose, more reflecting, more angsty, perhaps. But so maybe that's the first one I've checked out that is more uplifting, I guess. But yeah, I enjoyed that. Yeah, great. I'm going to stick that on some more. Thanks for joining me, guys. Awesome stuff. More Taylor Swift coming soon. Have a great week. Look after yourselves. Lots of love.